everyone, welcome back to the TVN Severe Weather Recap. My name is Lily Dixon and today is June 15th, 2015, and we're going to be doing a brief overview of Thursday, June 11th all the way to Sunday, June 14th. And right now we are looking at the June 11th map, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. And we're going to just be focusing on some of the more major events of each of these days since we have so many days to go over. So when you look in southeastern Colorado, you see that there are very large 4-inch hail detections here, and as well as some larger hail reports here up to 2.5 inches. And then once you move further south in extreme southeastern Colorado, we had a couple tornado reports here with brief tornado touchdowns, and we also had a couple wind damage reports and a very large hail report here of up to 3 inches in diameter, which is pretty significant for hail. Okay, so let's zoom out from here and take a very quick look at the northwestern portion of Missouri, where we had 2 tornadoes reported here. They were just brief touchdowns of tornadoes, thankfully. And then we also had a couple wind damage reports, and then very large hail detected up to 3.25 inches, which is very large. So let's zoom out from here and take a quick look at Indiana, where we also had some wind damage reports, as well as some larger hail and a couple of spotter reports up to 1.5 inches, and then we had a 50-mile-per-hour wind associated with some wind damage up to the northern portions of South Bend. So let's zoom out from here and take a quick look again in Pennsylvania, and you can see we have a lot of wind damage here, and this is just going to be the pattern through most of the weekend. And we also had some spotter hail reports in the western portions of in the eastern portions of Ohio and the western portions of Pennsylvania. So now let's zoom out and take another look at June 11th, where you can see we just had a lot of hail in the southern plains and a couple of wind damage reports in the New England area. So now let's go ahead and take a look at June 12th. So now we're taking a brief look at June 12th, and as you can see, it was an extremely busy day in the northeastern portions of the United States, where we had very many wind damage reports with a lot of trees and power lines down. And then once you move into the southern plains and in the southern portions of Texas, we had a lot of wind damage reports, as well as a lot of hail detections and spotter reports of hail. So let's go ahead and take a look in the western portion of Texas, where we had some of this hail up to 4 inches of hail detected all the way up to the northern portions of Texas. And then we also had some pretty large hail reports here up to 2.5 inches of hail, which is very significant. And then we had a couple of 60-mile-per-hour winds and one wind report here up to 80 miles per hour, where a semi-truck was actually blown over, which is just incredible. That's an incredible large amount of wind. So now let's click out of this and look in southern Missouri, where we had more wind damage reports, and then in southeastern Kansas we had one brief tornado touchdown, and then a couple of large wind damage reports here. And then once you move out of here, let's take a look at Indiana, where we had some wind damage reports. Again, this is the theme for the weekend, as I said earlier. And we're going to again move out of here and take a very quick look at Pennsylvania and New York. Just look at how many wind damage reports we had here. It's just incredible. They are everywhere. There is blue everywhere. So once we move into New York, you can see that we had a couple of spotter hail reports here up to 1.25 inches, and then we had some larger hail detections here as well, and a 60-mile-per-hour wind, which is pretty extreme. So let's move out from here and take a quick look at Florida, and you can see we also again have wind damage reports and some larger hail detections up to 2.25 inches of hail, which is very large for this area. And let's zoom out from here and take a look at the national view again. And as you can see, just a lot of wind damage reports. This is going to be where we're going to have most of our wind damage reports for the entire weekend. So now let's look at June 13th and take a look at that. So taking a brief look at June 13th, we had quite a few wind damage reports in the southeastern portions of the United States with trees and power lines down. And then once you move into the Great Lakes, you see we have a few wind damage reports as well as a lot of hail detected in that area, but there was definitely not as much as we had yesterday. And now we're going to take a look at the western portion of Texas and the southeastern portions of New Mexico, where we had quite a few hail detections here, up to 4 inches of hail, which is just very large. And we also had very large hail reports here, up to 2.5 inches of hail, which is just very, very large for this area. And we also had up to 60 miles per hour of wind recorded. And then once we move out from there, let's take a look at Wyoming and the northern portions of Colorado, where we had a couple of larger hail detections up to 2.25 inches. And then we had some spotter hail reports in the southeastern portions of Wyoming, up to 1 inch of hail. And then once we zoom out from here, let's take a quick look at the northern portions of Wyoming, where we had 1.75 inches of hail recorded here. And we had a couple of larger hail detections here, up to 2.75 inches of hail as well. And so once we zoom out from there, let's take a quick look at the lower Great Lakes and part of the Midwest, where we had quite a few wind damage reports, as I said earlier, but definitely not as many as we had yesterday. And we also had very scattered radar detected hail up to 1 inch in these areas. And in Illinois, we also had a spotter hail report up to 1 inch with a few wind damage reports in that area. And let's zoom out from there and take a quick look at North Carolina and the eastern portions of North Carolina, where we had one brief tornado report that was actually confirmed as an EF1 tornado, but thankfully it really did not cause that much significant damage, which is very good. So let's zoom out from there and take a brief look at June 13th all over again. And again, just to review, we had a lot of hail in the southern portions of Texas, the southwestern portions of Texas, and southeastern portions of New Mexico, and then a few wind damage reports in the lower Great Lakes. So now let's take a very quick look at June 14th. So now we're taking a look at June 14th, and as you can see, we had quite a bit of activity from the southern portions of the United States extending all the way into the northern plains, but we actually did not have as much activity in the lower Great Lakes today. But we also did have a couple of wind damage reports in Ohio and Pennsylvania, like we have in the past couple days. Again, the theme continuing. So let's take a look at South Dakota, where we had quite a bit of wind damage reports. One wind damage report and quite a bit of wind speeds recorded here, up to 70 miles per hour, which is a very extreme wind speed. So now let's zoom out from here and take a look at southeastern Wyoming, where we had some of the largest hail of the day here, up to 2.5 inches of hail recorded. And we also had some larger hail detected, up to 3.25 inches, which is very significant hail. So let's zoom out from here and take a look at western portions of Texas, again, kind of like we had yesterday, and some parts of New Mexico, where we had larger hail detections. And then once you move in the panhandle, you can see that we had quite a bit of wind damage reports here, as well as very large hail detections. And we also had very, very strong winds, up to 93 miles per hour, which is very significant. This storm ended up causing a lot of damage in this area and even blew some roofs off of some homes. So now let's zoom out from here and take a look at Ohio and Pennsylvania, where we had some wind damage reports. Again, it was the same theme as it has been the last couple of days, and we had very many trees and power lines down. So this area has been hit pretty hard the last couple of days. So let's zoom out from here and take a look at the day in review. And you can see, again, a lot of activity in the southern plains all the way up to the northern plains. And we also had some brief activity in the eastern portions of the United States. So if you would like to take a look at these maps, you can take a look at the Spotter interactive maps that we have on our Facebook page. So please go take a look at that and follow along with this video if I did not review something that you wanted to see. And if you would like to check out the live streamers, make sure you check them out at tvnweather.com/live, and we will see you again tomorrow. Don't forget to check out Storm Chasers streaming live at tvnweather.com/live. Or if you're on the go, you can watch live Storm Chasers streaming on your mobile device by downloading the TVN Weather app on your Android or iOS device.